Moving on to bid openings, agenda item number 5, landscape maintenance services contract. This would be RFP 16-03, presented by Spencer Morrison, our accounting manager.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Tonight I bring before you the award of a contract for the maintenance of city and district landscaping. The city currently contracts for maintenance of landscaping within lighting and landscape maintenance districts, landscape islands and roadways, walkways, bike paths, and select city facilities. Services include litter control, fertilizing, pest management, weed control, mowing, edging, tree maintenance, and irrigation repairs. Since January 2012, the city has contracted with Crossroads Facility Maintenance of Sacramento, California. Finance staff has worked with community services and public works staff and issued a request for proposal. We received back 4 submitted proposals, and in order of staff's ranking, they were Landscapes by Stencil of Live Oak, California, Crossroads Facility Services of Sacramento, California, Dominguez Landscape of Sacramento, California, and Botanica Landscape of Yuba City. In addition to cost, staff considered the vendor's overall ability to provide the services required, quality, experience, and the amount of personnel that will be assigned to the city's contract. Staff recommends award of a contract to Landscapes by Stencil of Live Oak, California for $317,580 for 1 year with the option of 3 one-year extensions to be authorized by the city manager. And this time I will request any questions that you might have, and note that we do have Dan Stencil in the audience tonight, and we also have Brad McIntyre, who was project manager and point on this effort.
Any questions from council of?
Sure, Mayor, just a question. We, in the past, I think a few years back, we did use services through Stencil. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And how long ago was that? Is that about 4 or 5 years ago, roughly? How longer than that?
Yeah, maybe 8, 6, 7 or 8 years.
I just want to make a recommendation. I mean, not a recommendation, but just a comment. I know that in the past, this council's always goes by of taking the lowest bid. And that's what we did last time. We took the lowest bid, and I honestly believe we got what we paid for. I think the landscape services with the city stuff was disastrous, and I couldn't tell you how many times that I've made comments to our city manager and pointed out some stuff that needed to get done. And I think at least with this one here, with Mr. Stencil being in Yuba City, living in Yuba City, driving by the streets, it's definitely a plus, and I've seen his work, and he takes great pride and ownership of his business. So it's something definitely that I would support.
And my only comment is thank you for your past service to the city and fulfilling your contract to the highest level. And certainly there was a departure towards the cheapest. And I think that in light of the assets that we are trying to maintain, these are assets owned by the citizens. We did a disservice in many ways by departing to the lowest bid, and certainly I have struggled with many of the areas within Yuba City that have been the lack of maintenance. And to hear terms like we were just waiting for the shrubs to mature as an excuse for them not being trimmed and brought back into control to where they could continue to grow reasonably, to just absolute death of some of our landscape. We hope that we can move this back into these landscape areas that deserve the attention that it has seen in the past. And certainly, when we look at this, when I hire somebody to do work for me, I don't look at the lowest. I look at who can provide the service that I would like to have. And certainly, if I was going to hire somebody today, it would be Stencil Landscaping to handle that for me. So,
Through the mayor. One other quick comment. You mentioned that we got what we paid for. I would have to argue with you that we got less than what we paid for. So that is part of the reason why it is important to value these contracts and look who is going to give us the best value for the dollars that we're paying for. Thank you.
Through the mayor.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to go ahead and add to those comments is that sometimes when we go with the lowest bid, we tend to pay a higher price at the end, and that is not only just the quality of the work that's being served, but then we go back and have to redo the work, so it ends up being a higher price. So when we look at these contracts, we have to set up a criteria of what we're looking for as a community, and I think we're doing justice at this time to hire individuals who will see the quality that is very, very important to this community. And I think it's also very important that you are here in our community, and as you drive through our streets, you will see it yourself, and that brings in a greater amount of pride that you will hold to your job. Appreciate it.
Mayor? I'm kind of going to be somewhat the same, except that having it from out of town also, you give them a phone call and there's a irrigation leak, Sacramento, wherever they lived from, they're not going to come up. You're here, we'll have the response that we need. There are categories of things that happen in government to where the ease of getting in contact and their response time has to be a weighted factor, to where when we do make bids that we have to remember to take and pay attention to those things that should be weighted towards quick response and investment in the community of living here and being able to get to it. So that's one of the keys we can look at other things as we go through in the future, other decisions. But welcome back.
Okay, and just so I can clarify for the public, this was a ranking base. Stencil came out number 1 in the rankings, and that incorporated a number of pieces to include what the yearly assessment would be to perform the function that they were looking at. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak to this? Seeing no one is moving forward, pleasure of the council.
Through the mayor.
Go ahead.
I'd like to move this item.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Thank you very much. And welcome back to caring for some of the city properties.